Here with Pitt Wrestling coach Keith Gavin. Keith, you guys, pretty successful season. I think you had 13 wins for just the fifth time in program history. What just do you feel like takeaway as a whole from the regular season?
Yeah, I think that we won a lot of close duels. We had I don't know how many, but a number of them came down to the final match, um, and we won most of those. So I think that it shows that our team has some character. We've been through a lot of those duels didn't go the way that we planned, but we found the way to win, and that's an important part of being a successful team. So I'm proud of them for that. That we were able to win a lot of those close ones and a lot of high pressure situations, and our guys pulled through.
What's something that you feel like at the end of the season you kind of had happen that was unexpected? That you had a place where you got maybe more performance that you thought, or had an unheralded guy kind of step up a little bit?
Yeah, I think that some of the guys that were on the team last year, were in the lineup that this year they kind of jumped levels. You always hope for that, but it wasn't necessarily something that it doesn't. It's not as common maybe as you'd like. So I think some of the spots we had, unfortunately Jake Wenzel had a season-ending injury, but he was having a pretty good year. And he was. It seemed like he really matured quite a bit from last year, so we were really happy with his progress. And he was looking like every time out he was getting better and better. Kellen Stout was very similar to that, where last year he lost a lot of close ones, and this year he kind of flipped that and was winning the close ones. And obviously he's still working to get better and improve and do those things, but it certainly a lot of progress was made in the off season. So those things were really good to see. And then our guys that were new to the lineup, we kind of knew what we had there. Mickey Philippe, Nino Bonacorsi, guys like that. But even Meach at heavyweight, we knew that Meach had a lot of potential, but I don't know if we knew how much of a competitor he was. And so he was one that we kind of knew that he was going to be good, but he's a really tough competitor too, and you don't really know that until you get them out there. So those things, I think LJ Bentley bumping up 2 weight classes. I thought he'd be all right, but you don't know, and he's showing that it hasn't been that has not been an issue. So those things I think have all gone well, maybe some better than expected, and that's why we're sitting where we are.
What do you feel like are the expectations entering ACC championships?
Well, the expectation is to win. I think that's always the expectation. But really, in order to do that, each guy needs to have their best performance. So they just have to focus on being the best that they can be, and that's what you're trying to do every time out. Whether it's the ACCs or dual meet or in practice today. You're trying to be better than you were the day before, and if we have 10 guys that do that and they are the best versions of themselves that day, then we'll have an opportunity to do some good things.
You have obviously the NCAA championships here. Are there a couple guys that could maybe secure a spot there in the ACCs with a good performance, or increase their standing, I guess, and give themselves a better shot to get there?
Yeah, I think. Well, we already have some guys that regardless of how they do, are going to go to the nationals based on their season. And then we have a couple guys that are on the bubble. So those guys in the bubble, you want to see them secure their spot at the ACC tournament. It's tough. I mean, the ACC is a very good conference, and a lot of these teams, it's very, it's only 6 teams, but there's not a whole lot of weak wrestlers in each weight. So, you're going to have to bring your A game, and it's our job as coaches to prepare them for that. And, hopefully we'll do a good job of that. And then, come tournament time, they'll be able to go out and perform to the best of their ability.
You obviously, wrestled here. I'm sure that even the time you weren't here, you were at least keeping up on what was going on with the program.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the success with the wins, sort of the way it's happened with a lot of close wins,
Mm-hmm.
and that combined with having the championships here, do you feel like there's a sense of excitement around the program that maybe has been missing at some point over the last few years?
I think there's definitely a sense of excitement. I think anytime that you win, that tends to happen. we've seen that with at Pitt with our volleyball team this year. Last year they won the ACCs. This year they were undefeated for a certain amount of time, and all of a sudden they were having a packed crowd, and people like winners. So that tends to happen regardless of sport or institution. But winning solves a lot of those issues. But as far as I think that Pitt has had good seasons in the past. Pitt has had good wrestlers in the past, and we do have a pretty strong tradition here. So it's not really like we're trying to do something that's never been done before. We're just trying to do the best that we can, and we're trying to do it consistently. And I think that that's the hard part, right? It's easy to go and have a good dual meet season, but we need to do that again next year. It's easy to have a guy once in a while do well, but we want to have guys that are consistently doing well. It's easier to have easier to have a good regular season, but it's harder to have a good postseason. So that's what we're trying to focus on. Is just we're not really looking too deep into it, just kind of focusing on what we can do to be our best selves.